Well, the controversy surrounding Hillary Clinton's private emails and server does not seem to be going away. In fact, there is a new fight to get at those private records, and it is playing out in a different place, this time in a federal court. What a judge has just done and the potential fallout. A major development surrounding Hillary Clinton's use of private emails at the State Department, and it is now playing out in a federal court. A judge has reopened an open records case, agreeing to a joint request. This is very interesting because the request to this judge came from the State Department and also from Judicial Watch, two organizations that have been on the opposite sides of a lot of these issues. But now they're working together in a sense. And the activist group is suing to get a look at these still unknown records on Clinton's private email server. So will this change anything? Tom Fitton joins me now, president of Judicial Watch. Tom, good morning. Good to have you back on the program.
Thank you, Martha.
So what does this change?
Well, it's an extraordinary development. I'm not aware of a FOIA lawsuit, a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, ever being reopened. And we shut the lawsuit down only after the State Department told us they looked at Hillary Clinton's records and didn't find anything. And we were asking in this case specifically about that, remember that ad that Obama and Mrs. Clinton ran in Pakistan after the Benghazi attack, apologizing and attacking that internet video.
Were you able to find that ad?
Attack. Yeah, it's on the internet, on Facebook. The White House and the State Department have posted it on the internet, but the costs associated with it,
right,
and what were they thinking when they did it, that would be very interesting. And of course, Mrs. Clinton's emails were never looked at. And you know, and we have to be careful. It's not personal emails necessarily. That's a legal conclusion, as the lawyers like to say. And the fact is, at the beginning of her term in the Secretary of State's office, she began using email for government business secretly. Now, she says that's personal. Others may differ. We certainly differ. Those are government emails that she stole, she took, deleted perhaps, and we need to try to find them and preserve them and recover them if necessary. And hopefully this court action is one key step forward in that regard.
So, Tom, is part of the legal argument here that once she made the decision not to use the government server and not to use the government email, that the server that she did use at her home, because she was the Secretary of State, then becomes sort of the pro forma server of the State Department, that it does become, in essence, government property?
That's right. I mean, she was using a separate email to conduct government business, and it's unclear who paid for it, where the server was located. She talks about the Secret Service protecting it, which is odd. Was it a Secret Service server? I don't know. But there are a lot of unanswered questions, and the State Department here stood down. They said, well, there's newly discovered evidence, and they didn't want to get in the way of our asking to reopen the case. But I can tell you they are not cooperative. For instance, in another case about the Clinton Foundation conflicts, they're sending records over to the Clinton Foundation prior to giving us the records as they're supposed to under FOIA. So they're not only refusing to look into Hillary Clinton's emails that have been deleted and where else they might be, but they're sending records over to that foundation and cooperating with it. So the State Department's part of the conspiracy in some respects, and this was kind of a, you know, don't step on us type of legal move, but we're going to be asking the court to get these emails recovered and get the Justice Department lawyers and the State Department to finally own up to this cover-up and end it.
Yeah. So what do you think is going to happen? I mean, the Clintons have successfully been able to avoid turning this over to anybody. They say they wiped the server clean. There's nothing on there but personal emails, and as far as they're concerned, that's end of story. So what's the next legal move in getting that server?
Well, we have to get Mrs. Clinton on record with the courts. We need discovery, hopefully, from one of the courts that we're now before.
And can she be compelled to do that?
Yeah, she can be brought in and put under oath by a federal court judge, or her representatives may have to come in and talk about what happened with the server. Certainly the State Department might have to explain itself under oath. We filed 8 lawsuits in the last 2 weeks, 7 of which occurred last week. 6 in one day, Martha, trying to get at these emails. We have 18 other lawsuits out there that have been impacted by this email scandal. One of the courts who's been messed with by this fraud, remember, they told many federal court judges, we looked for records and couldn't find any. And they withheld, and they knew they had the Clinton records they weren't looking at. They didn't tell Judicial Watch or the courts. And they're lucky the court just ordered what he did the other day because it was really charitable in light of the misconduct.
We'll see if this judge gets anywhere in tracking them down. Tom, thanks very much.
Thank you, Martha.